How's it going, y'all? Devin and Jake here from Tactical Cowboy. Jake is our lead medical expert. He came in for the tactical retreat. He's very, very, very experienced, so he'll tell you all about his experience here in a sec. A little bit. Shoot, come on. He'll tell you all about it. So he's got some really good insight on some new equipment that just got approved. Really, really, really important stuff. Guys, medical is one of the number one things you need to be concerned about. Tactical stuff is great, but I think it's much more likely that you utilize the skills that Jake focuses on. So I'll go ahead and give it over to Jake.
All right, thank you, Devin. Clip this on the head. All right, make sure everybody can hear me here. It's a little windy.
Yeah.
All right, so my name's Jacob Steffen. I've been a paramedic since 2008. I was in the military. I was an infantryman. Got out, got lucky, got hired by the Chicago Fire Department. I've been a paramedic in charge there since 2014. I also put myself through nursing school, my bachelor's in nursing, and I'm also working on my nurse practitioner as well. In addition to that, I have all kinds of other fun stuff. I'm an EMS lead instructor back in Chicago, teach EMTs, paramedic students, and I have some other cool stuff like certified tactical responder and everything else. But what are we here to learn about? So there's a couple cool new products that just came out. Now here at Tactical Cowboy, we do teach all kinds of fun medical stuff. Everybody knows how to use a cat tourniquet, pressure bandages. There's a couple different types. So the first one we'll talk about is a new kid on the block. This is the SAM XT tourniquet. This is TCCC approved. That means the military has tested it and they approve it. Looks pretty similar to everything else to a cat tourniquet, except for time. We got this little time label here, and we still have the windlass rod, but we have this fun little buckle here. So how the SAM XT is designed, what we kind of found out with some of the research that had been going on was a lot of civilians didn't necessarily put a tourniquet on tight enough. When you bring your casualty to the medical evacuation point or whatever area you have, casualty collection point, the first thing I'm gonna do is make sure that tourniquet's on super tight. Now, in an active shooter scenario, you're not able to cut clothing off. We gotta get a tourniquet on somebody, get them to safety real quick, get them to cover. Well, sometimes that tourniquet's not always tight. Your jeans, everything else, if you're a law enforcement professional, that stuff, your uniform pants have a lot of polyester in them. Blood gets very, very slick, and that tourniquet can slide down really easily. So for the SAM XT, obviously this would always be wrapped in cellophane. Just like everything else, it'll say SAM on the back. You'll have all your approval stuff. So if you guys are buying tourniquets off Amazon, be careful. These things are $32 for a reason, because they're not counterfeit. Works kind of the same way. Only thing you notice, again, the buckle's a little different. So we're gonna pretend this is our wound right here, and we're gonna put it on. Now you can have it pre-looped if you want, but it's not really exactly necessary with the SAM XT. The nice thing about this guy, you can see all these little holes here in the Velcro, and that might make you think, well, what's up with that? Is that gonna work right? Well, we'll see here in a second. So when we put it around our wound, remember we always want a tourniquet to be about 2 inches above. We're gonna put it through our loop here. Now once we do this, Devin, you wanna give me a hand and just hold the top of it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Always wanna try to pull towards us, but you're gonna hear something, so listen. You hear that click? That click means it's tight enough. I can't go any tighter. Once I have this in place and I have that click, it's good enough to tighten. So we'll put it all the way around, Velcro, and then we tighten our windlass rod. Same thing as everything else. Put our time on it, get our casualty to wherever they need to be. Now the big thing too about tourniquets, you got about 6 hours. Once we hit the 6-hour mark, it gets a little dangerous. You gotta make sure your casualty's at a hospital to take it off. So the SAM XT, it's TCCC approved, pretty simple to use. One of the nice features about it too is that click. So if you had to actually take it off somebody, you would release this and that pops it off to make it loose enough so you can do this again. But we'll demonstrate it one more time. You wanna hold the top again for me, Dev?
Yep.
Thank you, sir. 2 inches above the wound, and you always wanna try to pull towards you so you get that inertia. And we got that click, and that's not going anywhere. All right, that's the SAM XT. Now, we got another cool kid on the block, excuse me. And we're gonna demonstrate our wound packing here on this one. So this is the OLES modular bandage. Now, the nice thing about some of this TCCC stuff, if you stay up to date with a lot of the current events like I do, they technically don't have an actual approved bandage. So we've all probably seen North American Rescue has one. The Israeli bandage is a little different. It has that loop on it. The OLEDs, they kind of tried to change the game a bit, and I think it's pretty cool. So the nice thing about this one, you can kind of see on the back, but we'll talk about it. It actually comes with wound packing gauze. So most of these wounds we get, if we do get a wound that, like, let's say this is junctional, and when we talk about junctional, that's up here in the groin, up here in the shoulder area, somewhere I can't put a tourniquet on. The studies have shown that about 28% of the wounds you're going to get are going to be junctional. And that's a problem because you can't put a tourniquet on them to actually seal something up. So that's why we go through this training. That's why it's important. When you open up your standard emergency trauma bandage, all that's on it is just a thin little pad if you guys have opened it up before. What it's designed to do is to go over something you've already packed into a wound. So let's say this is junctional. This is unfortunately up at a casualty's groin. I can't actually put a tourniquet on it. So for the OLES, as you can see, you got your nice little tear corners here. You got arrows pointing to it, so you can't screw it up. It's vacuum packed, so it tears open real nice. We got our bandage in here. You got this piece of paper here, you can just take it off. Now, when we open this up, it's kind of already ready to go. So if I wanted to, I could stretch this out and put it on a wound. The nice thing about it, you see on the top here, you have this plastic cup. This actually puts pressure right down on the wound. And I'll demonstrate that once we start to wrap it. They also say if you wanted to, you could pop this off and you could cover an eye injury if you actually had one. It kind of does fit over your eye, but that's kind of just an afterthought. Now let's say I open this up and I don't have anything to pack the wound with. I don't have my wound packing gauze, or I don't have my hemostatic dressing. As you can see up here in the top, we have wound packing gauze already ready with it. So it's kind of nice. It's a one-stop shop. So all I have to do is pull it out, and then I can start packing in the wound with the gauze. So I don't actually have to grab anything else. I can just keep packing and packing and packing and keep pulling it out. Now, one of the things too, if you guys take one of our medical classes, I always stress, if you had hemostatic gauze, you want to make sure you keep a constant pressure in there, and you won't want to put this down. You put this down in a pool of blood, especially if it's hemostatic gauze, you're already going to activate those clotting factors before you even start packing it in. So kind of be mindful of where you put it. As you can see, this has got a lot of gauze in it, and I can just keep going and going and going. We pack wounds until we can't fit anything else in. So we're going to keep going and going until we get it all in here, because this wound packing is what actually puts pressure internally on those bleeding features. So this is the other unique feature about the OLES. So
don't be leaving trash out on the range. Don't do it. Don't do it.
So we got our wound completely packed. That comes out, and although it's not sticky, this is in here as well to be an occlusive dressing. So let's say, unfortunately, this was on my casualty's chest. I don't have a chest seal with me. Well, I could put this around the chest, and then if I had to, I could wrap the OLES around it and create an occlusive dressing. So it's a nice backup, but obviously we always want to use a chest seal, a vented chest seal if we have it. We could talk about that in one of our medical classes if you guys sign up. So to use this one, everything's Velcro backed. So if I pick it up and I'm ready to do it, it's not going to all unroll on me, so I don't have a big garble when I'm trying to fix it. Put it around my casualty, and if you could again, Devin, hold it up. Put it on, and this is the unique thing. So you guys see this kind of eyelet right here? So when we come back around, that should be directly over the wound, and as you can see, it's going to put that direct pressure on the wound itself.
That's legit.
And everything's Velcro backed, so it's going to stick to itself. I just need Devin to hold it so it doesn't blow away for me. And then at the very end here, we're just going to turn this. So I got the direct pressure on it. It's like every other standard bandage, and you have these two clips. Now the nice thing is the Velcro, it will hold it in place, but it's not ideal. I want to try to clip this in. This part, there's really nothing scientific about, just however you can kind of clip it on. And there we go. We got our bandage in place. So again, that's the new kit on the block, the OLES modular bandage. As you can see, it's kind of an all-in-one package. If I had to, I had a chest seal in it. I have wound packing gauze in it, and I have the pressure bandage. Now, they do make another version that actually does have hemostatic gauze in it. And like everything else, it's a little bit more pricey. The big advantage to these, there's not an expiration date on them. So as long as you pretty much keep them temperature controlled and sealed, they're going to be good for a while. So that's all we got for you today with Tactical Cowboy Medical. If you got anything else, shoot us an email. We'll set up a class for you.
Hell yeah. All right, so that was a pretty awesome amount of knowledge from Jake, right? So I remember when he was coming up for the retreat, he was saying he had some really cool stuff to show us that was just approved that we'd never seen before. So that was my first time seeing both those products. I think they're super amazing. I'm going to get some for my IFAC and start training on them for sure. Going back to this, the tourniquet's great, right? The tourniquet's super simple. This is awesome because this takes care of so many things that we go over in the Stop the Bleed class. You got your freaking packing gauze, and honestly, I didn't know about this little thing that puts pressure. That's awesome. because that's one of the things we have to do is make a big ball, so then all the force is pushing right down on that wound. So that is honestly one of the best parts about this, I think. That takes the guesswork out, because often I've noticed when we do the wrapping, they don't have enough pressure on it, especially if it's one that you're not applying a tourniquet to in some certain areas. So yeah, really glad to have Jake on the team. He's been here for a while. You guys might have noticed we haven't done a lot of the Stop the Bleed courses lately. Since we started working with Jake, we did a few and they went really well, but he's taken over that. So we're going to making them much, much more in depth. We're getting a bunch of awesome equipment for him. It's going to be pretty exciting. We've been working with some pretty cool professionals. So if you guys want to get in on that, we are still doing them in the private setting. All you got to do is reach out, email, text, Instagram, all that kind of stuff, and we'll get you set up. We'll fly them out, or you guys can come out here and we'll kick some ass.